Hey now. Hey. How y'all doing? Let me make that a little bit smaller. That's ooh, I don't even what I was trying to touch. What are you doing? Oh, that's probably okay. Yeah, I'm like, I don't want you all over my mouth and stuff. Hey y'all. How's it going? How's it going? Man, it's Wednesday. So if it's Wednesday, you know that means it's Ask Coach Catasha. So today we're going to be going through our user questions. We only got two, but we got some good ones. We got two good ones. Um, I don't know if I've talked about these before, but yeah, we got some good questions. So I hope you locked in. Um, Yeah, oh yeah. Okay, let's see. Ooh, I got stuff open that I don't need open. Trying to distract me. I've been watching videos on time management and stuff. And now, of course, I think I'm a guru, a time guru, because because of course I am. What do you mean? I'm an absolute guru. Okay. So let's talk about how we do this. Okay. Yes, I am a sex educator. Yes, we are going to be talking about sex. Now, because I am a sex educator, I know that my account will be back. Okay. If we get blocked, I'll be back. I cannot say that for you. Okay. I cannot say that for you. So let's talk about how we can enjoy this experience together and be able to talk about sex and not get blocked and all the other things that come with it. Now, right now we are live on Facebook, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. Yes, I think those are the four places. So each one of those applications have their own set moderators built into it. So those are words that are automatically flagged. If they come up or, if it gets blocked or whatever, they automatically flag those words. Okay. I'm not flagging those words. The application that you're watching this on likely already has its system set up. So I, as an educator, want you to be able to ask your questions. Okay. It is, it is a part of how we learn. It is what education is. And so I want you to ask your question. So the way that we can do that so that you can keep your account is to try to put on your best house or, your Grey's Anatomy hat. Okay. Put on your Grey's Anatomy hat. And what you want to do is you want to ask your question, even if it's a question that's not necessarily a medical question, ask it in a medical manner. Okay. Ask it in a medical manner. Meaning, if you're talking about, some spicy things, just the spicy part, you can leave out any words that you think will get you flagged. I'm really good with my context clues, so I should be able to still answer your question. But if not, just leave it blank and I will ask for clarification if I need it. But yeah, we want you to leave those questions in the chat. You can drop your questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. I have been teaching sex education for the last the other day I said 13 years. I have no idea where that number came from. 11 years. It'll be going on 12. Yeah, 12 years. We'll be moving into 12 years in the beginning of the year. So I've been teaching sex education for a really long time. So I don't know everything. Okay, let's get that out there. I don't know everything, but I do know a lot of things. I know a lot of things about sex. And my goal is to teach you the things that I know. So there are not a lot of resources for sex education for adults. I specifically teach adults. I have been specifically teaching adults for the duration of my career. But there are not a lot of resources in places for adults to learn about sex education and to learn about their bodies and to learn about, pleasure and all those different types of things. And so that's what I do. Okay. So you are encouraged to drop your questions in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. I'm not here to judge you. That is not my job. Okay. I am here to make sure that, you're having fun and that everybody is safe. That's my job. Okay. Are you having fun? Is everybody safe? If you have a question, but you don't want people in your business, which I absolutely understand, you can send that question to my email at expressionofrepression@gmail.com, or whatever platform you're watching this under. You can send it into my private messages, and I will be happy to bring that question back to the chat for you. I'll bring it back next week. I don't check them while I'm recording. So, but I'll bring it back to the chat the next week, and I'll answer your question live. It'll come from me, so it won't be attached to your username. People won't be in your business. Okay. And I understand that people don't need to be in your business. What you do with your butthole is your business. But if you got questions about that butthole, I still want you to answer them. I mean, ask them, because there aren't, again, the opportunity to talk to a sex educator is going to be few and far between. And I want you to be able to use this time to, you know, make yourself better, make you better at advocating for your own pleasure, making you better at um, delivering pleasure in other situations. I want you to be encouraged and be confident in your sexual health, because if you have good sexual health, you have a better chance of having good mental health, because having bad sexual health or a less than stellar um, status in your sexual health will actually have scientific effects on you. Not scientific effects, but scientifically, it's going to have effects on your mental health. You will have a lower quality of life. So, if you are experiencing different types of things that are causing a rift in your sexual health, that will bleed over into your mental health and could also be could show up in your physical health. So, um, case in point, if you have a vagina and you are experiencing pain during intercourse, that is going to have an effect on your mental health. It's going to make you not want to engage in that activity, which could also drive a rift between you and your partner if something, your sexual schedule changes or your libido gets lowered. All those types of things can have an effect on your mental health. And then also your body might not respond. If it knows that pain is on the other end of that, your body might not respond to arousal or stimulation. So you may not make enough lubrication, or you have a difficult time getting focused. It's all kinds of other things. And so although we are talking about your sexual health, we're discussing your overall health as well, because they all feed each other. It's not just this piece and that piece. Your sexual health can have an effect on every other part of your body and your lived experience. So it's important that we are highlighting the importance of your sexual health, because I don't think that that's something that's discussed very often. Is your sexual health, how are you feeling about, different medications or different experiences in your life? All those things are just not discussions we normally have. And so I want to encourage you that if you have questions, to drop them in the chat. You can send them to any of my inboxes. The questions that I have here, I have two questions, came from my website and from one of my other inboxes. So I do have questions here. But if you have questions or you need clarification on any of the questions, please feel free to jump in the chat. Ask me whatever you got going on, and I'm here. I'm here for you. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Question number 1. Is they gonna paste in there? Probably not. I've been going back and forth between my keyboards, so I have an ergonomic keyboard, but I've been using the regular keyboard doing everything else at the library and stuff. And so, is it gonna let me put it in there? Okay, I can put it in. Ooh, it's a little long for TikTok. Oh, okay. No, there must be a word in here that it doesn't like. Okay, I'm gonna have to read it. I don't think it is. I think I took all the bad words out. I'm gonna see. Like, it's not trying to hear it at all. Let me see. What we doing there? Okay, I'm just gonna read it then. Okay. Well, I'll post it the piece that I can to TikTok, and no, you know what? I'll just read it because they're gonna be the first people to block me. Okay. I usually don't have long ones, so but I do enjoy that. I like when you and I let me do that because I have not done that. I appreciate the people who do send the messages. I don't think I've ever said that, and I'm definitely tripping. I appreciate you letting me into your life, you trusting me, and using me as a resource. I don't have any um, preferential treatment towards questions that are left in the chat versus questions that are sent into the inbox. Again, I am here to help you however you need help. And if you don't want people in your business while you need help, baby, I understand that. So thank you again for the people who do take the time to send the questions in, the short ones and the long ones. I appreciate all of you. Keep sending them. However you need to be helped is how I'm here to help you. All right. Okay. Question number one. And it's a little spicy, so we might end up in some trouble. But again, I'll be back. Hopefully, you will too. So, all right. User question. I am looking for some tips. I am not very big. I am not small, but I am not as big as other guys I have seen. Gym, sports, adult videos. I don't even know if I should feel self conscious. No one has ever said anything, but I will admit I still feel some shame about the size. Is there anything I can do about this? Is it even something I should worry about if no one is complaining? Okay, so that's a really good question. And you're gonna most conversations about size, people just say, oh, well, size doesn't matter. Well, let's get a little bit into it. Okay. um we're gonna start by talking about the penis, and then we're gonna talk about the where the penis would be going, right? Okay. So there are definitely different sizes, but the average size, the what they say they is the average size of penis, is about 5.5 to 6 inches. Okay, that's what they say the average is. And I don't have a ruler right here, but I want to, I do build stuff, so let me see if I can. Maybe about that. That's probably about 6 inches. Yeah, it's probably about 5 or 6 inches. So it's not a massive amount of space, right? And so if someone is um, sexually active, the average from all the penises that they talk to is about 5.5 inches. I think it's actually 5 to 5.5 inches. So that means that, low key, everyone is running about somewhere around there. Okay. With that being said, the there are people who are interested in this end of that, and then there are people who prefer on this end of that, and everyone has their reasons. You don't hear people have conversations about their love for smaller. I mean, they're happening. I actually just saw one today. Where somebody was like, I actually like medium size, don't bring that big horse thing over here. I just saw a post about it today. So there are actually people who prefer their packages to be on the smaller side. Okay, because people have different size vulvas, and then if you're not using a vulva, um how much size you need is very irrelevant because the if you're not using the vulva and you're using some of the other spaces that you have, you don't really need that much room anyway, right? And so here's the conversation about size, right? um in a not, I don't want to say traditional, it's not the word I want. When you think about a penis and a vulva, okay, or a penis going into a vagina, okay. When that penis is going into the vagina, the body is creating a bunch of different chemical reactions. It's doing a bunch of things to get it to that orgasm, okay? There are a lot of different nerve endings in that vulva and in the vagina, in the vaginal canal, okay? And so your point should be to get to where some of those nerve endings are. Now, some of those nerve endings are further back in the cervix, but not a lot of them, not all of them. The outer part of the vagina actually has a good substantial number of nerve endings. It's one of the erogenous zones. And so you have all these different things that are going on that don't take depth to be able to get to. Okay. Now, girth is a different conversation, because essentially what happens with in the act of penetration is that the vaginal walls are being massaged, and they're doing what they need to do, and if all of those things are receiving the contact that they like, okay, I'm trying to keep us up, if they're receiving the contact that they like, then they move to orgasm as the next step, okay. So the point is to fill up as much of the vaginal canal as you can, so that all the walls and all the spaces are touching. That's what you want, okay? Now, if you are not very big, you may think that, I might have some difficulty with that. But there are things that you can do. There are positions that work better for people who are smaller. People who are larger can't do all positions. They can't do everything. There's only so much room in the vaginal canal that you cannot get in all of the positions. Now, again, if you're not using the vaginal canal, you have a little bit more room, okay? But if you are using a vaginal canal, you only have a finite amount of room, okay? There's not an infinite amount of room. And so there are some things that you won't be able to do, and that even depends on what time of the month that you're in, because the cervix moves throughout the month, like throughout the 28 days of your menstrual cycle. If you have 28 days, whatever your days are, but we're just gonna call it the 28-day cycle. During that 28-day cycle, your cervix is doing all kind of stuff, getting ready for a kid, realizing there's no kid coming, it's opening up so it can shed the skin and the blood, and so it's doing all kinds of things. And there are going to be times where you're going to be able to get in certain positions, and sometimes that you aren't. But if you are dealing with someone who's smaller, it is better for you to compress the vaginal canal, so that when you do get the penetration, that it is a smaller area and more surface area to touch inside. So you have a smaller surface area and you can get in to touch. How do you make it smaller? Okay, easy question. Excuse me. What you're going to be doing is you are going to get those legs up, get them back, folded in half. Okay, folded in half. So knees to chest. Okay, a knees to chest position squashes down. You say this is your vaginal canal. If you put your knees to chest, then it compresses that area. Whereas when you are on your hands and knees, you have that whole access to that whole area, because there's no compression. But if you are lying on your back, and you can put those knees into the chest, and that is going to shorten up that vaginal canal, and that's going to give you the friction that you need in the areas that you need to be getting stimulation to, because there are also different areas in that canal that are not, again, as deep back. But there are different things that you can do, different types of strokes you can have, and all of that, to give that sense of making sure that you're touching everything that you need to be touching while you're in there, okay? Second thing you can do, this is always one of my go-tos when I do my couples and this comes up, right? Because it's really not a big thing. It's having a smaller penis is probably as good as having a bigger penis. In all actuality, you're probably on the same ends of the spectrum. Like, there's so much that you can't do when it's too big, and there's so much that you can't do when it's too small. So you're really moving in between this space. But there are things that you can do. So the second thing that you can do is the vaginal canal and the anal cavity share a thin membrane in between, right? And so if something is coming down one of those canals or something is in one of those canals, it compresses how much room is in the other canal. Okay. And so if there is a penis inside of a vagina, then that means that it is taking up room and it is compressing this anal canal because there's something inside of the vaginal canal. If you flip that around and you put something in the anal canal, then that's going to compress the vaginal canal and make it more likely that you're going to be touching things when you're in there, right? And that's essentially what you need. You need the rhythm and you need to be able to stimulate the cells inside of the vaginal canal, right? And so if you were to put something into the anal cavity, you can use a plug or, whatever you want to use. That is going to lessen the amount of available space in the vaginal canal. And then upon entrance, you will have more access to the walls of the vagina. An easy fix. It's also a really great orgasm behind that. So, those are a couple of things that you can absolutely do right now. There are positions that you can get in, but there are going to be positions that you need to kind of stay away from if you know they're not your strong suit. Okay. And it's not necessarily that you can't do them, right? But you have to use what you got. Okay. Use what you got. And so there are, even in if you wanted to do a all fours position, another way you can do that and still have the room is by dropping the belly to the bed. Okay. Because again, you're just going to be compressing that area. You're not, you're not giving it a straight, line road to go into. If you add angles into that, you have a better chance of getting access to the walls, and that's what you want. And so because in those walls, your blood, the vulva and the vagina has erectile tissue the same way that a penis does. And so that erectile tissue fills with blood as you become aroused, and all of that erectile tissue aids in you getting to your orgasm. So yes, it's going to be some clitoral stimulation, but it's also going to be a stimulation of the vestibular bulbs and the stimulation of the labia and all those different types of things, because all of those things are made up of erectile tissue. Anything that swells when it is aroused is being swollen in the same way erectile tissue swells. So it's also super important that your partner is warmed up, because if that swelling takes place, the reason it swells up is to help you get more in contact upon penetration. Okay. So if your partner is properly aroused, that helps as well, because that blood is going to engorge inside that erectile tissue and it's going to become firm, and that is what presses up against those nerves deep in there. And do I have my vulva up here? I don't see it. I mean, my clitoris. I don't see it. I don't know where else it would be though. But I might have took it out when them kids was here. I don't be wanting to answer no questions when they parents ain't around. I don't see it. I must have put it up somewhere. But essentially, the clitoris that is just a little piece that's outside, but it actually goes inside like a wishbone. And at the end of those wishbones is your vestibular bulbs, which hide right behind your labia majora, which is your larger set of lips. And so that tissue swells up along with the tissue of the clitoris, and all of that aids in getting to to orgasm. Okay. And so it's the tips that you need are definitely there. You not being larger is not a big problem. If it was, like, there are some people who are size queens. They are always going to exist. no matter what hole you using. Okay, they're always going to exist, but that is not necessarily the go-to. Girls don't just necessarily want the biggest one they can find. Many many girls are gonna be like, get that away from me. Okay, so, and people with larger penises will tell you, like, it's not all shits and giggles. Like, it is a struggle. It is a struggle. It's a lot you're gonna be able to do. Yeah, it's a whole lot of that penis is gonna be dry. It's never gonna see any contact, and so it's not all it's cracked up to be. I know visually everybody's like, ooh, a big one, but you hear them girls, they be right online talking about, I don't know what you finna do with that, and get that away from me, and all of that. So don't be intimidated if yours is not as large as others that you have seen. We all are susceptible to comparing our bodies to each other, so I definitely don't want you to feel shame for that. But you definitely shouldn't feel shame for whatever size you have. It's the size that you have, and low key, people are not good enough at sex to be that concerned about size anyway. Like, there's so much more to a good sexual session. So much more to it than the actual penetration part. Like, yes, people want that, but again, most vulvas, 80% of vulvas, require clitoral stimulation for to reach orgasm. And it could be inner clitoral stimulation or it could be external clitoral stimulation. Since, like, theoretically all orgasms originate from the clitoris anyway. And if you're not using that hole, the prostate is super close upon entrance. So you don't need that much to get to the prostate. And again, it's just going to be using your angles, making sure you're using your angles, compressing the area, and using plugs if necessary. If your partner, and you don't, it doesn't have to be a super huge plug, it doesn't have to be a big bulb or anything like that. Just something that you can put inside while you are engaging in activity, okay, that you can put inside. And even if your partner is not small, this is a really good tip for someone who wants to make sure that they are getting the full range of pleasure. Sticking something in that tube, sticking something in that tube significantly reduces the amount of space. There's only a small amount of space in there, right? And those two tunnels are sharing that space and they're vying for that space. That's why sometimes people who have penises, if you have a particularly large dump, you can experience leakage from your penis from stimulating the prostate, from that as it's traveling down that tunnel, it'll roll over that prostate. You will experience some leakage from that. So, like, it's a small area that's in there, no matter what body type you have. And so if you're putting something in there, you have a higher chance of contact no matter what size you are. And it also gives you a more, I don't want to say vibrant orgasm, but you have a more, you have a different type of orgasm. Because again, your orgasms are just your nerves getting the stimulation they like and firing off, right? And so those nerves firing off, and that actually, we have this conversation, if you been here a while, it actually happens in your mind. So the orgasm happens in your mind, and then your body has a reaction to the orgasm that's happening in your mind. And so it's just a bunch of neurons firing off. And so if you can get those neurons to line up, to get in sync, to, start when the music start and to keep on playing into the halftime, and you'll be good. And so that's so much more important than size, if I'm being honest. And again, I've been teaching sex education for a really long time, and I've talked to, it's got to be thousands of people at this point. It's got to be thousands of people at this point. And so when you have access to that many people's lives, like you hear, and so those conversations are happening. You will see them sometimes, but if the average is 5 to 5.5 inches, then you're good. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say you're good because I don't know where you are on that spectrum. I was just seeing something about micro penises the other day, and so I don't want to. Um, I don't want to move over the fact that someone might have a micro penis, like that might be a thing. But even someone with a micro penis could still experience sexual pleasure, um, just in a different way. And that's what we all have to do. That's going to be our lives at some point, regardless. Everyone's going to have to find new ways to experience sexual pleasure. You're not going to have the same sex that at 65 that you had at 25. You're just not going to be able to do it. So you're going to have to find ways to use what you got to get what you want. And so there are definitely things you can do. There are conversations you can have. There are support groups, all those types of things. But I really don't. I think that there's a heavy emphasis on size, but I don't think that's coming from. I was gonna say all women, but I don't think that's coming from the majority of women, because some women absolutely, a lot of women do not want a big old thing. They don't. They don't. It's not. It's There's not a lot you can do. Is what what the consensus is. You can't ride it. You can't put it in your mouth. You can't do nothing. They in there turning up your guts and rearranging furniture, and you're not having a good time. And it's hard um it's hard to disassociate or associate the pain and the pleasure. It's if it's pain, then it's not pleasure. Some people are like, no, this is painful. I'm not having fun. You tearing my stuff up. So the emphasis on size is a conversation I think that is it happens mostly in men's minds, not necessarily in our minds. The I would hope that the conversation in our minds is, am I going to be able to have orgasm? That's all I care about. I don't care. That's the only thing you need to be concerned about is, am I going to be able to get there? And so, but again, I do not want to dismiss um, your feelings, or make it seem like it's invalid. Just I don't think that it is. I don't think it's anything for you to be worried about. If nobody said anything, and you're probably just right average along, especially, sometimes girls get mad at you and saying, well, that's why your dick little anyway. So, baby, if you ain't heard that, then you probably good. That's terrible advice, but I don't know. I just feel like creating that, like you've created that right now. Nobody said anything. Nobody's um alluded to it, or seems to be dissatisfied with it, but you are looking at it and thinking, looking at everybody else and thinking, why don't I look like that, and why don't I look like that? And I think you can see what the harm in those self conversations are. So I don't think it's anything you need to be worried about. If they do, if somebody do bring it up, then you got some tips to get you through. So all right. And thank you for being vulnerable and typing all that. And I know that was a lot. So I appreciate you for sharing that and letting me in your world a little bit. Okay. All right. We got one more question. Again, if you have any sexual health questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I will answer what I can. Oh, hold on. Why is it not coming up? Thank you. I will answer whatever questions I can. Ooh, I did not open this up, and let's do that. I don't know why when my Streamlabs opens my thing up, it puts it on gaming, and I don't want that. Because I don't want any kids to accidentally find me. We're not having conversations that are appropriate for children. Okay. We are not having kid appropriate conversations. So I don't want them to I don't want to be where they are to tempt them. Anyway, all right. So our second question, I don't know why it won't let me leave it in the chat. Maybe it's because of the notepad. Let me close my notepad down because I like to just copy them over so I don't have to chase down where I got it from. Is it me? Is it user error? Yes, it was. My bad. I wasn't using the right window. Okay, I don't. Ooh, maybe I should. I'm gonna change this. Hopefully, you'll be able to see. Um, yeah, let's do it that way so nobody won't. So it won't get flagged. If this is your question, I'm just changing it so that it won't get flagged. Okay. Okay. So here's the question. The user question is, what is a queef? Um, that is the question. Okay. So, essentially, it's just trapped air, right? The vaginal canal does not go into the body. You cannot lose something that will end up in the stomach or any of that in the vaginal canal. There is a very tiny pinhole in your uterus that expands during your cycle, but it's a very small hole, right? And so that you can't lose anything in the vaginal canal. That also goes for air. Okay. That also goes for air. And so when you are pushing air into the vaginal canal, that air doesn't have anywhere to go. Like, it's not going to go up into your stomach and make you burp. It's not going to do none of that. That air has to come back out. And so if you're pushing air up in there, it's going to have to come back out. So that's all it is. It's just a collection of air. And um, in the rarest of cases, it could be troublesome. It is not normal for it to be troublesome. Most air comes back out, doesn't cause any problems. But in rare cases, the air can get trapped and, you can have complications. But again, we're talking about, this is just what I saw in the research. I don't know anyone that this has happened to, but that doesn't mean that it don't happen. I just, in my 12 years, have not run into anybody who's had it. But when you look it up, it does tell you that there are, in rare cases, the air can get trapped. But essentially, it's just when you are. Okay, how can I say this without us getting blocked? Okay. How can I say it without getting blocked? Okay. The air, when you are pulling out, you're pretty much pulling out at a suction, right? So you are, think about one of those little Chinese hand things. Ooh, is that racist? Are they? That probably is not a Chinese thing. That's just what we called them when we was kids, and it's probably not what it is. It's a finger trap, okay? Scratch that if it was racist. I did not mean that. I just, in my mind, I'm just thinking like, I don't know if that's what that's called, but it was a finger trap. They were called Chinese finger traps when we were kids, but I don't know if that's Chinese. We might have just decided that, whatever. So you put them in and you can't pull your finger out, right? You stick your fingers in there and you can't pull it out as you pull it. Essentially, that's what that is for the vaginal canal. But if you move anything in a tube and pull it out, you're creating a vacuum as you're pulling it out. Okay. But as you're pushing it in, you're also introducing all the air that's coming with it. So if you are continuously pulling out of the vacuum and then pushing air in, and then pulling out at the vacuum and pushing air in, that air is going to get trapped and it is going to force its way out of the body, of the vaginal canal. That's what it's supposed to do. And that's essentially what it is. It's not coming from the other hole. It's not doing any of that. It's just trapped air. Not dangerous. You're good, okay? But that's all it is. It's just trapped air. And it's really not that much more to it than it's just air that's being pushed up in there that you probably, if you don't pull it all the way out, you won't introduce the air. Okay? Usually when you get air, it's because you creating the vacuum and coming all the way out and pushing air all the way back in. If you never break the vacuum and just stay in and move inside, you'll be fine. But again, it's also nothing wrong with that. If it doesn't come out during the activity, when you get up and start moving around, and the vaginal canal starts to shift, the air will make its way down. So it's not anything to be worried about. If your partner's experiencing that, it's nothing to be worried about. If you're the partner, it's working how it's supposed to. It's just trapped air. All right, all right. Okay, well, do we have any other questions? I have a whole lot of stuff to do. If we don't have nothing to do, baby, I will let y'all go. Because I got all kinds of stuff to do. Get this house ready for Christmas, honey. Because it's almost Christmas. It's the most wonderful time. I love Christmas. If you don't already know. Ooh, okay. No, that's not a question for y'all. Yeah, that's not a question for you. I'm sure they don't want you in their business like that. But yep, if y'all don't have any other questions, baby, I appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all back here next Wednesday. What Wednesday is that? What's the date? The 17th. So we got 2 more Wednesdays. I probably won't be on here on Christmas Eve. I won't. A matter of fact, I'm not even gonna be in the house. We're gonna be oh, I probably will be in the house. Cause I'm gonna be tired. I'm lying. I'm fit to be right here in this house. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be in this house. So I will see y'all next Wednesday. If you don't have any, I think I checked everywhere. I did. All right. Well, hey, then I will see y'all next Wednesday. I appreciate y'all trusting me with your butts and stuff and your questions. If you have any additional questions, or if you need some clarification or want to follow up on something, please feel free to email me at expressionofrepression@gmail.com, or you can send me you can go onto my website expressionofrepression.com, or you can send it to any of my social media websites. I usually check the inboxes right before class, probably not a moment before, right? I'm doing the best I can. But I will grab those questions and I'll bring them back to the chat and we can talk about it. All right, I will see y'all next week.